Hi everybody, Chris from MMORPG.com, and this is the Drop THX Panda. Coming in at $399, this has been touted as the wireless headphone to buy if you care about audio quality. And if you're a gamer, with the boom mic add-on, it could potentially be the all-in-one headset you've been waiting for. But I have a confession to make. When this first launched, I just didn't feel that way. As far as Bluetooth headphones go, it should have had everything. Planar magnetic drivers, it has them. A built-in THX AAA amplifier for quiet, clean listening with volume headroom to spare, it had that too. LDAC, aptX HD, aptX Adaptive, high-res wireless codec, so anything you're listening to can come through and sound better than any other wireless headphone on the market. And if you don't like that, it has a 3.5mm jack to connect wired to your PC or amp DAC setup, or USB-C to connect right to your PC only. All of these are exciting features. I was excited for months ahead of release, but then it arrived and the tuning just wasn't for me. But the tides have finally changed with the new SoundID app. This lets you tailor your sound with a quick preference test, and if that doesn't work, offers a full parametric equalizer to dial in exactly the sound you want, and then saves that to the headphones themselves so that tuning will work for anything you're listening to. The Pandas have finally arrived and are officially, in my opinion, the best pair of Bluetooth headphones money can buy thanks to these new features. So let's take a look at the headphone. It features a robust design. It's solid in the hand. The headband and yokes are made of metal and has a good amount of flex and adjustment to fit different heads. The ear cups themselves feature plastic backs, but they feel rigid and well made. At this price, I would have preferred to see aluminum, but at 375 grams, it's not a very light headphone, so concessions to keep it comfortable are understandable. And for the most part, it is fairly comfortable, but you have to wear it right. Now that might sound weird for a wireless headset like this, but it's true. There's not much padding on the headband, just enough, let's say, and when I put them on normally, I had a sore spot after an hour. But in fact, these seem to be made to be worn at a bit of an angle. And once I realized that, I could wear them for 3 to 4 hours, which is a big improvement. The cushions on the ear cups are also very good. They're leatherette and use a dense foam that is really wonderfully noise canceling. Now, these headphones are not ANC, which at first threw me off. You can get some of the best active noise canceling headphones for less than the cost of the Panda. But the pads here are so isolating that they block out as much, if not more, sound than many headphones with ANC, but which is extremely impressive. Yes, I wish they had it, but you genuinely don't miss it once your music or game starts. Now, if they did have it, these headphones would be mind-blowing. So Drop, if you're listening, please add ANC in your next revision. So, the cushions are good for isolation, but they're also quite comfortable. The grip force on these headphones is higher than most, but remember, they're made to be taken on the go and to block out the world, so they need to be grippy, and I think that's fair. I didn't find them to be too much so. There was no jaw pain or headache, but if you're sensitive to clamp force, that's definitely something to keep in mind. But let's get into the tech inside of these cups, because that's where the magic happens. These are planar magnetic drivers, or orthodynamic as Drop puts it. But these are the same driver type as found on many really beloved audiophile headphones. Planars are popular among audio enthusiasts due to their detail and extension, and depending on how they're tuned, can be really dynamic with lots of bass and treble detail. It comes down to tuning and implementation and how they're driven, but I can tell you that's true here if you tune them to focus on those frequencies. The frequency response range is also 10 Hz to 50,000 Hz, which is much wider than your average wireless headphone, which is only 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So distortion just isn't an issue because of the drivers. But honestly, what's behind them is most interesting. These headphones have a built-in THX AAA amplifier. We know THX, the company founded by George Lucas, makers of that giant wall of sound in movie theaters, but also makers of some excellent audio products, and one of those is the AAA amplifier line. These amps are incredibly quiet. There's no white noise when your music or game is paused. But in addition to that, it features feed-forward error correction to remove distortion by 20 to 100 times that of a normal amplifier. The only thing I noticed that threw me off is that these amps actually need a few minutes to warm up. Before it does, in those first few moments, there is some noise, almost digital sounding, very faint, and it goes away quickly, but occasionally audible before anything really begins to play. The combination of these things is a headphone that smashes together these worlds of audiophile headphones, consumer commuter headphones, and even gaming headsets, but has the chops to land right at the top of the ladder too, and that's impressive. Now, thanks to the SoundID app, like we discussed before, these are able to be tuned exactly to your preference. After you go through the A/B test and upload your sound profile, you'll be able to listen to these anywhere you like and take that sound profile with you. But SoundID isn't perfect. Its A/B tests don't let you use your own music, so the match isn't always exact. With other headphones, I've actually found the preference test sounds worse than the original headphone, so that PEQ is important, even though that wasn't the case with the Pandas for me. The parametric equalizer is also rather finicky to use. It doesn't have unlimited bands, so you can't load in the full oratory curve. Audiophiles, you'll know what I mean, everyone else won't need to worry about that. And it doesn't let you type in the frequency you're trying to tune, which makes it harder than it needs to be to find exactly where you'd like to be on your frequency graph. But overall, it's an excellent feature addition to this headphone. So with that tuning capability, how these sound is going to vary a lot from person to person. After tuning mine, all of my issues from launch went out the door. The bass was full, tight, and rich, not bloated, not stomping on other frequencies, but enough to have punch and slam that I didn't know these headphones could produce. It's excellent for games and movies and makes music fun and rich. At the same time, the Pandas can offer excellent detail across the rest of the spectrum. Guitars in particular sounded great with these, full of texture and tiny details like the oscillation of modulation effects, or how each string rings out in combination with the others to create a chord. Really, really good stuff. Now at $400, you can't expect these to compete with $1,000 Odyssey headphones, for example, but without question, they're a leap over something like the Sony XM4s. If you're coming from a headphone like that, you'll be impressed with the amount of detail these can deliver without ever even touching SoundID. If you're coming from an expensive audiophile set, you'll probably still be impressed because what you'll be hearing is from a wireless headphone. If at all possible though, I do recommend using these with LDAC or aptX HD to really make the most out of your listening experience. But how about for gaming? As a closed-back headphone, the soundstage isn't great. It's not bad, but certainly more closed-in than an open-back headphone like Drop's PC38X. Positionality is great, imaging too to be able to pick out those layers of sound even in intense action sequences like when you're trying to blow up a tank in Battlefield 5 and it's taking shots at you. You won't miss the sound of the enemy coming up on your flank because of all of that additional noise. And that imaging is also great for music because you'll be able to better pick out the individual layers that make up the song you're listening to. But for that sense of space, I really would recommend picking up Dolby Atmos or even turning on Windows Sonic to enhance your sense of atmosphere. Finally, we have the microphone. Now this is an additional purchase, and technically you don't need it because there are microphones built into the headset, but I would really recommend you do because it's quite good. So, final thoughts. I've sat on these headphones for several months waiting on the release of the SoundID app and through a couple of personal delays, and I'm glad I did. If I had reviewed these after launch, this would have been a very different review. But for a listener like me, the app was transformative and have turned these into the best sounding wireless headphones I own. If you've been on the fence, it is officially time to hop down and give the Pandas a closer look. And with that, thank you all for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and go and visit us over at mmorpg.com for daily tech, audio, and of course, gaming coverage.